when did the emails start flowing in? It was about, what, 6 months ago?
Oh, my God. I didn't even know who he was. And they were just buckets of them.
Hundreds every day.
Hundreds and hundreds every day. How come you're not doing anything about Ron Paul?
And then we found the symbiosis between the people who vote for him or want to vote for him and conspiracy theories.
Yeah, this is the most troubling thing of all. Joining me now on the phone is Congressman Ron Paul. Congressman, I have been troubled a little bit. You have associated yourself in some ways with these people that we call 9/11 truthers who think that the U.S. government was in on the 9/11 attacks. Do you also believe that's true?
No, and I wouldn't say I associate with them. They associate with me. But there's no way a candidate can control every thought process of everybody who supports him.
Well,
so I don't think it's a relevant concern.
But you go on Alex Jones' show, and he's one of the leading 9/11 truthers. I've heard Alex Jones talk to you about the 9/11 conspiracy theories, and I've never heard you just overtly deny them. Will you now? Will you come say right here and now that you completely disavow this 9/11 truth movement and the whole idea that the U.S. government was in on the 9/11 attacks?
Yes, I do. But, not to talk to Alex Jones is sort of, and only wait for the interviews with people who agree. I would never be allowed to be on Fox because they were, war and promoter of war.
Congressman, with all due respect, when you go on Alex Jones, you get this, and you never get this on Fox.
And, folks, I'm telling you, they'd operate death camps in a minute. They take your baby by their hind legs and bash their brains out on a pillar in a second.
That's pretty standard Alex Jones fare.
Yeah, but I would consider preemptive war just as violent to take a position that we should go to war and initiate war, which we've never done in our history, and now the war is being planned and there is a war propaganda move to go into Iran. I consider that a lot more a violent statement than what we just heard.
Well,
don't you think so?
No, I don't, actually. I think Alex Jones is he's propagating an incredible fear among the American people about its own government. There's a difference to say, look, we're afraid of Iran for a reason, and there might be a need to attack a reason. Iran, you could argue about whether you want to do that or not, but to propagate fear of our own government that it is out to violently kill you, to, as he put it, take your baby by its ankles and smash its head against a pillar, and that the U.S. government was involved in the 9/11 attacks. I mean, I really think that you're making a big mistake going on there and associating yourself with those views and making all these people that listen to Alex Jones believe that you agree with them.
I think you make a giant mistake to try to accuse me that I'm defending everything that Alex Jones said. That's very unfair, and it's very not. It's not very decent for you to accuse me.
Well, I mean,
what he says. I mean, what's the purpose of what you're doing here in this process, other than try to belittle what I believe? Why don't you talk to me about what I believe?
Well, do you believe? I mean, what do you believe about the 9/11 attacks?
I think our foreign policy has significant advantage. It elicited the violent nature of some Muslims, and those who have done any significant investigation and study of what motivates suicide terrorism talk to Michael Schur. It's occupation. What you need to do is check and see what Wolfowitz said, who is the champion neoconservative warmonger. He said that it was delightful that we were in Iraq. Now we can remove one of the incentives that Osama bin Laden had, and that was our troops in Saudi Arabia. He actually acknowledged exactly my argument.
It's our policy of preemptive, deliberate invasions of foreign countries and occupying these countries that has jeopardized our safety. This blowback principle is what caused 9/11, and we have to come to realize that if you keep living in this dreamland of saying that they attack us because we're free and prosperous, believe me, we're never going to get up to the
Well, if you think that if we withdraw off the Gulf, if we get our people out of there, there's not going to be any more terrorism, then you're living in the dreamland. You didn't even want to go into Afghanistan to punish those people, did you?
You're wrong, Bill. You're wrong on that. I voted for that. So you be careful on your quotes. I mean,
well, in the debate, you said you don't want to be there. You don't want to be in Afghanistan.
Well, they didn't do what we were supposed to. We were supposed to go after Osama bin Laden. We let him go into Pakistan.
We didn't let him go anywhere. He escaped in there. That's war. That's what happens in war.
I know. No, I blame bad policy, and bad policy can have consequences. Unintended, the CIA recognized it, the 9/11 Commission recognized it. So to me, this sounds very logical. I think he needs to back down, and I think he needs to read the report and come back and apologize to me.
If you were president, what would you do about the al-Qaeda threat? Forget about Iraq right now. The al-Qaeda threat, Osama bin Laden, he's still on the loose. What would you do about that threat to the United States?
Well, I'd go after him. I voted for the authority. I wish they had done it. We voted for the money, and yet we ignored it. So this is my complaint, that we didn't do what we were supposed to do, and we went and started a war that we shouldn't have. And here we have Osama bin Laden in Pakistan. They have a nuclear weapon. They have a military dictatorship. They overthrew an elected government. And what do we do when they get nuclear weapons? Not following the NPT treaty? We reward them.
Taking a visit to places like, these WTC 7 sites and Students and Scholars for Truth. And I note that Ron Paul has basically allied himself with these people. He appears with Students for Truth on campus, and he's appeared on radio shows like 9/11 Conspiracy Nut, Alex Jones. And I would hope that would disqualify him the next time around from appearing on stage with other Republicans.
What I just want to say is, we talked with Dennis Kucinich, who said that he's willing to, investigate, willing to advocate for a new investigation into
9/11.
Yeah, into 9/11. I mean, if it was Dennis Kucinich and then you, obviously there'd be congressional support. You know what I mean? So you wouldn't be the only one.
It'd be bipartisan. Yeah, and I work with Dennis a lot.
Yeah,
a lot of these issues.
So would you advocate for a new investigation into 9/11?
Yes, I think you have to look at the details of it. Investigations are investigations, and most of the time they're cover-ups. There could be a better investigation because there's a split in government. So I would certainly consider that and think it would be worthwhile. But if you do the same thing over and over again, you're spinning your wheels. But I would certainly work with Dennis. I would talk to Dennis, and I think he's in a position now, being in the other party, the majority, that we might have a better chance.
He has subpoena power and everything.
Yeah,
so.
and we'd have a better chance of getting a better investigation. That's too often investigations for almost any issue is usually a cover-up.
Yeah, I know that he is really serious about this because I know that his office is already investigating certain aspects of 9/11. He's having his guys look into it. So
I'll talk to him.
Yeah, that would be great.
All right, very good.
Thank you very much.
All right, a viewer email, Mark Joannis writes, yes or no, please no bloviating. Do you believe that the 9/11 attack on the World Trade Center was an inside job?
Well, the answer is no, if they mean by inside job that our government made it happen. No, I don't believe that.
I've seen videotapes and listened to audio where you deny any willingness to embrace the 9/11 conspiracy stuff. A lot of your supporters do seem to embrace the whole 9/11 conspiracy, that the towers were brought down by the Bush administration. Address that. Do you think the American government, the U.S. government, had anything to do with bringing those towers down, either directly or allowing it to happen?
I think indirectly out of ineptness rather than participating in it, planning it, or allowing it to happen. I see it's ineptness. That's why I think the investigations are always cover-up of the inefficiency of government.
And in fact, you had folks on the 9/11 Commission who made some of the decisions, and they were on the commission there to cover themselves up.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. That's why I don't trust the investigations. But, the neocons were very explicit, even before 9/11, that it would be an advantage if they had a Pearl Harbor type of an event where they could move their foreign policy along and use that as an excuse. That doesn't mean there's evidence that they planned it. I don't think you can go from one step to the other. But if certain events occur, they can make good use of it. And I think that's what they've done, because there's tremendous evidence that there had been plans laid for almost 10 years before that to go in and have regime change in Iraq.